Society accepts. Now let us again go back. Which means what? Something, if we are saying something is wrong. Beyond law, there are social rules, cultural rules, religious rules. So law is only a very small portion of the entire system. Now after this law also, if violence on Dalits or tribals are not coming down, the important reason is the people in power are implementing social rules rather than legal rules. You understand? Best example, just on 30th of January, in this institute, I was trying to Assistant Police Commissioners of Police. Okay. So somebody asked the police officers, what is your dharma? So the police, he asked, what is your dharma, what is your dharma, what is your dharma? And some 7-8 people, they said, I am a Hindu, I am a Maratha. I am a Hindu, I am a Maratha. So one police officer, the speaker, retired officer, he said, you are not Hindu, you are not Maratha. You are here in uniform. Therefore, your dharma is your law. That's what the speaker said. Then I asked one question. The question is, if all of you are trained in the law of South Africa, in this institute, okay, and then you are sent to South Africa, can you implement that law there? Why?
Because laws of everybody, it's different.
No, I am saying they will be trained in the law of South Africa. But if they are deployed there, can they implement it?
Takes much time.
Why?
They should go to the field, understand the ground reality.
But what they have to understand, if it is only the law, they understand the law.
No,
It
but
doesn't
as you
bring it.
said, law is a very small aspect of it. It's governed by so many other factors, social, religious, cultural. So,
Okay. Now, this law can be implemented only within the larger realm of cultural laws, cultural rules, religious rules. Okay. Now, all of us as people who are implementing law, we are pretend we don't have caste, we don't have religion, we don't have gender, we don't have color. You understand the layers? The fundamental layer is a cultural law. So the law made in Parliament doesn't have power to override the cultural power of the context. Got it? So it is our cultural context which will determine how we will implement the law. You understand? So let us not pretend. See, SAST Atrocities Act demonstrates that caste is a source of power. Okay? That is an explicit recognition of. It took us so many years, up to 47 to 89, to say that caste is a source of power, source of discrimination, source of inequality. Okay? One. But it only says a potential source of discrimination. If you are a upper caste or non-Dalit, you have a possibility of discriminating. It is not saying that because you are a upper caste person, you are automatically bad and you are discriminating others. No, it doesn't say. It says you have a choice. You have a choice of discriminating, choice of not discriminating. You got the point? You have a choice whether you want to discriminate or not to discriminate. So, law is only recognizing the existing form of discrimination, inequality, power relations. Discrimination is what? Discrimination is a form of power. I am powerful, I am a male, I can discriminate a woman. Okay, I am adult, I can discriminate a child. I am fair looking, I can discriminate a person who looks black. Okay? But whether I really discriminate or not, that's a different story. I might discriminate, I may not discriminate. But the law only cautions that law functions in a cultural context. If we ignore the culture, you are not going to implement the spirit of law. Okay? That's one thing. Secondly, related to this, there are three layers. Have you ever thought about differences between social order, public order, and law and order? All of them are not the same? How do you differentiate? Which is the bigger one, bigger circle?
Social order.
Which is the smaller circle? What is public order then?
The order that comes in.
Yeah, you are right, actually, you are right when you say. So, when you are reporting, writing something, understanding, do you feel confused whether all the problems of law and order are also problems of social order? Whether all the problems of social order are also problems of public order? Whether all public order problems are problems of law and order?
No, all the problems are social order, but it is not considered as law and order problem. That's why there is tackled policy.
Yeah, but is that right? Is that right? Looking like that. If we think that cultural order is much bigger than law and order, should law and order be controlling everything? Should they?
No, it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah. So we should have the distinction, which means we should be able to recognize the role of law and order is very minimal. What can be solved within a family, within a community should not go to police. But then the question is, we have an understanding that we all want to become only the citizens of law, nothing else. Then, if we want to become only citizens of law, then law recognizes us, all of us only as individuals, not as a community. The modernity has this problem. In modernity, we are all individuals, not groups. But I understand the doubts a lot of people have. That doesn't mean that it's only culture should decide. If culture is already undemocratic, then what do we do? For instance, the domestic issues. Should only culture should decide? It's not very easy to answer because culture is much more problematic than law. But those who implementing law and order also has a culture, what do you do? Those who are trying to resolve a dispute according to culture only, this is a public institution. This has an order. It is run by certain rules. Any dispute that is between two students, should police come and solve this?
If it is an institution of its own, the head of the institution can consult and he can solve it, not necessarily.
Yeah. So, if these issues are not solved here, and if it is uncontrollable, as a last resort, law and order should come. But our tendency is, we think that every public order issue is an issue of law and order. Every social order issue is an issue of law and order. These layers need to be little, we have to. So generally we loosely use this, it's a public order issue, it's a law and order issue, it's a social order issue. No, they are two different things. Each one of them have different layers and different roles. And you should also recognize the smaller role of the state police. Okay, the larger role of. But the problem is, we have so many complaints about social order. We have so many complaints about public order. And the way we respond is, we think ultimately it is the policeman who shall solve all the problems. But he is equipped. He is capable. Is it the duty of a law and order machinery to solve all the problems? Now, for instance, on issues of rape or violence on the road, the police are also solving them as like feudal landlords. What do we do? They are using cultural power to solve that problem. Now there is competition between cultural power and modern power. Okay? Cultural power is there and modern power. That is legislated law. They always conflict with each other. Not necessarily conflict. They fight for change. How change takes place? Not only these layers, upper caste, lower caste, upper class, lower class.
Through conflicts.
Let us come to this point. Men and women, Muslim and Hindu, regional variations, educated and uneducated. These are layers, no? But there will be always interface between them. Okay? For change. The powerful doesn't want change. The powerless wants change. But the interface between these two layers what are the modes of change? How they take place? How many forms it takes? For instance, the modern life and tribal life. What happens when there is this transition? The first form of change, which is very visible for all of us, is displacement. Not necessarily physical displacement, intellectual displacement, social displacement, cultural displacement, erasing. Okay? There is one community, there is one modern community. Whichever is powerless community, that will be erased from memory. For instance, if a newspaper 99% writes about city and doesn't talk about what is happening in the village level, that is ignored and erased. Physical displacement is one, we are talking only physical displacement. Okay? Displacing in our memory, in debate, public debate, in press, Somebody asked in the first 15 years in Parliament how many times there was discussion about tribals, and there was statistics, not even 10 times.
Years.
In 15 years. Which is the highest body. Parliament, there was not much debate at all. It is erasing the memory of existence of a community. Okay? It's a displacement. Okay? That's one. The second form of change between different layers of power is called layering. Layers. It's called layering. In the sense, the powerful will be like this, and the powerless will be given a status above, below the powerful. That is called layering change. For instance, now I think we have successfully convinced Muslims as second-grade citizens in the last 15 years. Did you know that? There is now because of whatever has happened in the past 15 years, they think that we are not equal. They will not disappear like tribals. They will be there. But they will come to terms with, see, if Pakistan can say cricket, I can say wonderful. But if a Muslim says that, then he will be slapped. So they understand, they don't talk. So that is called layering. You accept a second-grade citizen position and you live. That is called layering. The third one is called drifting. Drifting is the powerful, the powerless. The powerless gradually join the power. Very slowly. Very, very slowly. The best indicator is 1970 the Planning Commission said it takes 30 years for a below poverty line family to become a low middle class family. Which means you study, graduate, and then become a clerk in some office, then you join. Okay? Now they are saying that 25 years. Okay? This is a drifting. The best role is played by the educational institutions. It will not disturb anything. The distribution of power, it will not, change will not disturb anything. You are allowed to slowly go and join. It is mediated by the education institution. You understand? The fourth important form of change between powerless and powerful is conversion. Conversion. Not necessarily religious conversion. It's ideological conversion. In the sense, you come from a village, you come to the institution like this, and after 2 years of training or 3 years of training, you will start saying, what is the point of having villages? You don't see any point. Most of us have villages should become cities. This is conversion. In the sense, if you come from underprivileged background or powerless background, you are not told gradually come. No, you overnight convert. Think that the form of development that is going on is wonderful, and if it necessary, 80% of the village should be closed and they should all come to a city. Overnight you become voter of a dominant idealism. This is another important layer of power. So that this is also mediated by powerful educational institutions.
Like urbanization can be an example of conversion.
And that is a beautiful name for so much of violence that we want to inflict on the powerless. Why do we think that this is most ideal life on the earth? The city life is producing so much of pollution, so much of exploitation of nature. But if we think that if all these people are talking urbanization, they are ignoring the 3,000 years of village culture and life. And education tells urbanization is the best. So within 2 years of life, you start talking about urbanization and the powerful through the process of layering, drifting, displacement. First is displacement. But which mode of change is implemented depends upon your degree of marginalization. If you are a tribal, if you are poorest, displacement is the mode. Culturally you are minority, but numerically you are a sizable section, you can't be displaced, then you will become a layer. You will become another layer, silently sit. But within the dominant identity, you are a marginalized, you are a OBC, you are a poor upper caste, then it is drifting. Okay, the last one. Conversion happens at a certain level. Any tribal student also comes here within 2 years and we start talking about the modern technology, everything. It's an overnight conversion. These are the modes of managing power relations in the society. Okay, now